and he's looking to get into land development opportunities. Well, you're in the right place, my friend.
Couldn't be placed better, Neil.
Yeah. Started with the best. Here we go. So great stuff. We'll crack on then, guys. So I am really, really pleased to have Nadir and Ashley joining us today from Searchland. Searchland is a business that I've been aware of for a number of years. For those of you that have joined a webinar with me before will know that in my previous career, before starting UK Homes Network, I worked for a number of competitors to Searchland, and always looked up to Searchland as the market leader and one of the best data sets available and one of the best prop tech platforms available, specifically for developers and anyone involved with land. But since then, as a company, they have grown astronomically and have provided so many insights to so many property developers, landlords, and property investors around the country. So what they're going to show you tonight is incredible. Yeah, we're going to be touching on a few key areas that I know you guys are really, really interested in. So we've got commercial conversions, ground up developments, and title splitting that we'll get into in just a second. So, gents, how are we doing? Nadir, are you well?
Yeah, good. I had myself on mute and my mouse was stuck when I tried to unmute myself. So sorry. Yes, I'm excited. We've been talking about doing this for a while now, and as we formulated the whole and formalized the partnership, which took longer than expected, yeah, it's been the energy has been bubbling all along in preparation for today.
Yeah, absolutely. And Searchline was such a big name for us to bring into the platform, and we were so excited to bring you in. And of course, Searchland as a business is not that old, really. I mean, you guys have been going a few years, but to watch your rise in terms of how you've taken over the market and how you're supporting clients, it's been quite a quick journey in terms of how you've risen to domination.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when a company is born out of identifying what the other competitors are lacking, that's the only way that you'll always be able to swim to the top and stay on the top. I think that was the key part of how Searchland was actually formed together. It's four friends that came together. One a computer scientist, one data engineer, a guy who's got his master's in town planning, and the other one who's got a business mind. And I don't think you could get a better combo than that. So what they did was that even though they were not the first player on the market, they actually identified where the loopholes were with the competitors, and then started coding the platform, solving those problems first. And that's how we swam up to the top.
Amazing. And yeah, we're so excited to have you guys on as partners. And you've got a special discount for UK Homes Network members, which we'll get into in a little bit. So yeah, we're excited to share that with people on the call.
I'm glad you're happy to say that, especially how you pushed that discount for your network. But yeah, I'm glad to say that we got it approved.
Yeah, I mean it's quite a sizable discount, and we're really fortunate that you guys approved it. So yeah, we're really grateful for that. Ashley, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Nice to be here.
Good stuff. So yeah, I think, gents, what we'll do, won't waste any further time. We'll get straight into it. So Nadir, I'm going to hand over to you, and you're going to give us a bit of an insight into how Searchland works and some of the strategies that people really benefit from using the platform.
Yes, absolutely. So, firstly, thank you again, Chris, for having us. It's always a pleasure to not only meet you in person, but now see you online a lot more. So, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Nadir. I am the head of partnerships for Searchland, and hence why I am heading up this partnership division, especially this new one that's been formed with UK Homes Network. I've been joined by my colleague Ashley. We both work within the partnerships division, and to be honest, I think sometimes I do have to admit, which I hate to do, but he does work harder than me and handles the actual division a lot more than I do. So yeah, so let's get into what Searchland is about. So we specialize. So as an opening statement, I am just going to ask a question, and which I'd like people to put into the chat, and I'll probably do something special for somebody that's gotten closest to the answer here. Nobody's ever nailed it before in my last 2.5 years, but let's try it today. So there are 29.5 million titles in the UK, right? That includes leasehold, freehold, whatever the case may be. There's 29.5 million in total. How many of those titles are actually on the market for sale? So if you guys could put an answer into the chat just so that we can get as close as possible. I am doubtful that anyone's going to nail it. Even if you can get it to about 100,000 here or there, then I promise you I'll be shocked, and I'll probably try and do something even special for that person there. But yeah, if we can understand how many are actually for sale, that is a shocking number, which explains why the need for off-market sourcing is so large. Okay, everyone's sitting on Rightmove dealing with agents. It becomes a little bit exhausting. It becomes it becomes a bidding war. 5 people looking at the same thing. All the sharks circling the same bait here. It becomes a bit monotonous. It becomes a bit too much. Okay, that's where the world of off-market has come into play. So with Searchland, we differ from a lot of people out there. We've got the most up-to-date data sets. We can, using our enhanced filtration system, we're the only platform on the market that has actually got access to plug in ChatGPT into the platform, where you can talk to a title. You can actually have a conversation with the property and extract the data out. So I'm going to show you exactly how to do this. Even though we have the most comprehensive filtration system on the market, I'm going to show you, we're using AI, how we can just blow this whole thing into a different world. So we've got Rightmove that we've also integrated into the platform. We use the Rightmove data more for comparables than for sourcing, and we use what's on the market and what is sold in order to show us exactly what the sort of market prices are dictating in that area. So we reverse engineering the entire system here. Okay, we've got people that have been extremely successful on here. And lastly, once we identify those properties, I'm going to show you how you can send up to 5,000 letters to property owners within 12 clicks on the platform. And the next working day, everything will be printed out, stamped, and posted on your behalf. So we'll take properties off-market sourcing to a whole new level tonight. Chris, I just got a brainwave as you were introducing me, and I think there's one more area that I'm going to try and touch today if we have some time, and that's basically, we've been inundated with requests from people looking for expiring leases or leases coming to the end on banks, all these corporates that are closing down, and I'm going to show you with just 3 or 4 filters how I dig them all up. In fact, maybe we'll attack HSBC today, and we'll find all their branches coming to an end.
A bonus one. I love it.
Bonus one. We'll chuck that one in as well. So if I look at the chat, I can see we've got 4 million, 6.5 million, 24.5 million, 29.5 million titles in total. There's only 1.3 million for sale. That leaves the pool of 28 million, and that is what we're going to be looking at today. So that tells you the opportunity of how PropTech can really sort of change the face of it. So I'm going to share my screen. We're going to jump straight in, and we are going to go on a little hunt for a few off-market properties. So let me just share my screen. Chris, I can't see you anymore. So can you just confirm that you can see the platform?
Yeah, I can see it.
Cool. So this is your home screen once you've logged into the platform. Okay. Now, few basic map tools or rulings that I just want to sort of iron out when we start. Bottom left corner, you can change the map view at any point, including the OS map if you wanted to. The legend key tool at the bottom here, this will pop up and down automatically with the keys to the data sets. This little green bubble, if you click on that and you click on the help section, you will have a pre-recorded library of videos of me and my colleagues doing every single function on this platform. So you literally just type out your question, the system will automatically match you up to the right video and play that for you. Okay. Basic map tools here, including a measuring tool. You can measure someone's driveway, the distance between a house and a local store, whatever you want to. And these letter headings at the top, ignore them. We're coming back to them shortly. Okay. So within my search bar, I'm going to go on a little expedition here. So let's just choose something a little generic. Not too south and too north. Let's go in for Oxford. Let's go straight into the city center in Oxford. That's where it's dropped me off. If I zoom out, we're in the bank center of Oxford here. And as you can see, my mouse is constantly highlighting black shadows everywhere I go. You can look at the speed of the platform at which it's doing this, okay? It's doing this because it's picking up titles. These are all individual titles. So if you went into somewhere more residential, you could go into these houses here. These are all individual houses that are highlighting here. You can go into any property like this one here, whether it's a piece of land, got a house on it, irrespective of what it is, click on it, and boom, all the information will now start formulating on the left-hand side. It'll highlight the title in purple, and it'll give you the following information. We can see that it's privately owned. We can see the full area of 351 square meters. It is 34% built percentage, meaning 34% of the title is occupied by a building. Residential sales history pulling in from Rightmove. Every single planning application from 1990 until 12 hours ago will be displayed on the planning application. Use classes attached to it. In this case, there's an active HMO on here. Planning constraints, anything that stands in your way affecting that title. So in this case, it's picked up Article 4, it's picked up the flood zone, and then you can just turn them on and off. You can see the flood zone covers the whole title. Anything, we've got a massive list, so anything that it picks up, it will highlight to you. The address on there. Demographics, you can open up the tool and you can go and see the average income, ethnicity, age in the area. You can identify all of those metrics as well. Very interestingly, we've got the local plan built in here. For those of you that are not familiar with that, that is basically the ratings of the council as to where they are with their housing delivery test, what their local plan actually dictates, and what regulation they're actually following. You'll see a little bit more about that when I open up the strategic land tools in detail. Okay, we've got BNG. Every single site is scanned for BNG. So whether it's a house or a large piece of land, you can scan any title and it'll tell you how many units you're going to be offsetting on there. Terrain data with our satellite data sets, you can check how flat the land is, which way it's facing, whether there's a slope on there, any EPCs. As mentioned earlier, we picked up that there's an HMO all waiting there for you. And then right at the bottom here, we've got something really interesting where we're the only platform on the market that actually has the adopted highways built in. So if I turn that on, that will highlight for you everything and show you whether the road is actually maintained by the council or it's a private road. Okay. Now, sometimes you do get, especially with land development from the ground up, you may look at a piece of land, but you need to factor in that there's privately owned roads leading up to it. So that's obviously something that you need to add into or consider. And without digging into multiple of data sets, one click and we'll be able to tell you exactly who's responsible for what road. Okay. If I go back to the top, this is obviously packed out with data. We can download this, whatever I spoke about, you can download into a PDF report and email off that to yourself within a few seconds. They're unlimited. You can do it on as many titles as you want. Everything that I spoke about, including the planning history, constraints, the works, everything gets emailed off to you. Okay. You can save this and put this into one of your projects, which you'll see coming up. But what's really cool about this is you can actually click on the bot here and you can have a conversation with this title. So you can ask, what's the planning history? Do me a full title analysis. What about the planning approvals within 2 kilometers of the site? You can actually be talking to the actual title, and using our AI within the platform, the bot will just extract all the data out for you. Okay. It's a really cool feature. Again, it's unique to Searchland, so it's obviously another reason how we've just taken it further. Now, that was a very manual way of me going into the platform, searching an area, and manually clicking on a site. That is what we call a title lookup. What we are going to be doing from now is we're going to shift this over, and we're going to launch out the automation side of this. Okay, so if I go into my control center, which is in the top left corner, and I open this up, this is where all the apps and tools of the actual platform lay within here. All right. Now, we're going to start off with the most powerful tool that Searchland has to offer, and that is our actual sourcing tool. Okay. So if I open up the sourcing tool, you'll have a number of pre-made filters for you, which I'll give you a little explanation about. So your custom search is a very blank canvas. You tell the system what you want. Gray belt is a pre-coded metric in the background stating that we've got, we basically want an opportunity within the green belt and a few certain metrics like a hard standing and so forth. So you can build within the green belt using the new regulations, and that's all being coded for you. Info plots, small piece of land between two houses. Class MA is your commercial to residential conversions within permitted development. It's a ready-made filter to do that job for you. Class Q is agricultural to residential. So this will find all your potential barn conversions. And then your unsplit freehold block finder is what this filter will do for you. These are ready-made filters for you. Unsplit freehold blocks, which is your title splitting opportunity, amazing business model. You're looking at 20 to 30% uplift just by splitting the legalities of it. And there are hundreds of thousands of them all over the UK. A lot of them privately owned, and from the little that I noticed, there were a lot above the age of 70 that own those properties for some reason. So people have been quite successful in sourcing those opportunities. The metric behind title splitting is very simple. You're looking for a freehold property with multiple addresses and 0 leases on there. And that is as simple as it is. And then you can dictate the number of addresses to dictate how large you want the block to be. And then if we go right to the top, you can see this feature here saying sourcing AI. What this basically means is that it will you just type out a story into there and it'll automatically go and match the right filter for you, because we've got the most comprehensive filtration system on the market to display what you want to see. However, people are finding a little bit overwhelming, and that's why if you type it into your AI will just match the right filter on your behalf. Okay, so in fact, talking about the power of it, we might as well test it in its true flesh for ourselves. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for some opportunity from the ground up, and we are going to just type out a little story for ourselves here today. Okay, so we're going to say, find me sites between 1 and 4 acres with 0 developed area, and let's be a little bit more picky and say private owners only, and we don't want it in the middle of nowhere, so we're going to say within 500 meters of a built up area. And I really want to try and test the system today, so let's also maybe say, another one will be with use and contains use class C3, because essentially we want to build some housing. And what else should we put on there? So we've got the size of it, we've got the development, we've got private owners, we said 500 meters. I can put a planning consideration, I can say, and out of the green belt, or whatever it is. But let's just keep it simple. We've been technical enough, and we're going to click on find sites. The system will now scan everything within its reach. It will scan every single filter, and in about 10 to 12 seconds is what the system takes. And with 99% accuracy, it will spit it all out. Okay, so you'll see the magic coming up shortly, and there we go. It's done exactly that. So freehold properties, it's even broken up the acreage that I've set into the exact square meters. Developed area in square meters is 0 because we want vacant properties. Ownership type is private, and distance to the nearest built-up area is less or equal to 500 meters, and the use class must contain C3. It has nailed it exactly what I typed it out. I could have put spelling mistakes, anything it would have done, it would have just fixed it up automatically. Okay, we go down, we've picked up 88 opportunities within my map view. If you wanted to dictate the area, you can obviously then dictate it even further, and you click on browse, and voila. It's done exactly that. So let's have a look at the metrics and why it's picked this up. Beautiful piece of property. It's not in the middle of nowhere. You got residential right here, simply because we said that we wanted within a built-up area. We could be specific and say settlement boundary, to stay in the settlement or not. But I like to sort of keep with just close to built-up areas, because that kind of brings me close enough to the settlement. However, I could dictate it. We can be so specific as to what you want to see that I can even go and use the proximity filter and say within 300 meters of a train station or a bus stop or a GP's doctor's practice, or what to that level of detail we can take this. I can even add demographics into there and say where the average age is above 50 and the average income is above 100,000 a year. We really can get technical about this. Okay, and that's simply because Searchland is not about shooting in the dark. All right, beautiful property here, as you can see. But what I always like to do is I like to do my due diligence while the property is open, simply because we are masters at displaying multiple layers of data at once. So leave that land open where it is. Looks very nice. Go through the metrics, go through whatever your planning constraints are. If you still think that it's worth exploring, the last thing you want is Taylor Wimpey building 500 houses there. So we're going to open up the control center, and we're going to go straight to the planning applications, and we're going to launch the planning applications on top of this land. Okay. And this will scrape the full council for everything that it can. But now it's going to scrape applications like someone's carriage conversion and all of that, which is really of no use to us, right? So planning applications for new units only, I'm going to click on that. So we clean that up. And I'm also going to say, show me where the minimum number of dwellings that someone's trying to build is at least 3. And you can see that cleaned it up a bit. No, in fact, we've got one right opposite us here. So if I click on that, we've got the erection of 10 houses, which is undecided. And that's running from 2023. If I click on more information, everything from the council is on my screen. I can even see the case officer is Elizabeth Williams at the council. Every single document that they've applied for, who the applicant is, it's S. Nijar, and he's using Ian Sullivan Architecture to do the application on his behalf. Everything has been extracted for you. Okay, if you found this interesting because you want to, because it's obviously undecided, you want to see which way it's heading, to an approval, rejection, whatever the case may be, you're probably going to forget about this once you log out of here because you've got so much more that you can see. So you want to automatically track this application, rename this to whatever you want, and you can create an alert. So every time there's a change on this application, you'll get an email automatically to tell you that. Okay. So the planning is really cool, the way you can actually manipulate the data coming from the councils so that you don't have to run around with reference numbers onto their websites and so forth. Everything has been imported into the platform. All right. Once you've checked the planning and you've looked around you, what you also want to do is we want to understand what our GDVs are going to look like, okay? Because not every site is profitable. Otherwise, you would have just had builders building randomly everywhere. So I'm going to go back into the control center. We've had the land open to begin with. We've launched the planning app, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to launch the actual sales app onto this. So I'm going to go onto my residential sales, open that up. And this is going to extract everything put it onto the platform for me. Now, we need to clean this up, obviously, because this is extracting all the sales. However, I'm only building detached and semi-detached, or if this was a commercial conversion, it'll be to flats. So we've got to talk apples with apples in this case, okay? So you need to say the property type is just semi-detached and detached for today's example. The listing status, I don't want something from Rightmove that is sold subject to contract because that could come back on the market. I actually want to know that it's gone through, so I want sale completed values to show that to me. But now I'm also only building up to 3-bedroom houses, so I don't want a 7-bedroom detached mansion here to increase my averages. So the maximum number of bedrooms is 3 or 4 or whatever you want to put in there. Okay. Now I've got all of them within here, within my reach, within my area, all listed out here, and I can simply click on export button and it will export an automatic Excel list for you, giving you your prices per square meter, prices per square foot, where the property is, how many bedrooms, and a link back into Rightmove if we can show you some pictures. So it's absolutely brilliant by doing your comparables within a few seconds. I've also got my graph view. I can see it's average of £277 a square foot, how many have sold in the last few years, and how long the average time for that sale to go through. This is my full list view. All of them are waiting right here for me. Okay. And then no matter how many applications I open, I never lose where I was, because if I click on sourcing, I just go back to where my sourcing property is right there. The nice thing about launching multiple data sets is that the planning data and the sales comparables, if I click on next, will just follow me as I go through now. So if I click on next, that will just come with me over to the next opportunity, just like it does right here. If you like what you saw, then you want to click on save and next instead of just next. Put this into one of your projects and it'll just flip over to the next one. All right. So finding properties from the ground up, extremely easy and sort of simple in that sense. What we're going to do is we're just going to clear everything down and we're going to go back into the sourcing tab. And I'm not going to use AI anymore because you saw that we did that to begin with. Let's just clear that out. What I'm actually after now is I'm going to use my ready-made filter for class MA, okay? And with the class MA, it's going to pick up specific properties that fall within permitted development from commercial to residential, okay? So let's go and look at the whole of Oxfordshire. In fact, let's just change that. Let's go up north. There's probably other people towards the Birmingham area. If I can spell Birmingham. Let's maybe do, in fact, let's just do a wild search all over. Let's not just limit ourselves you can see how many Class MA conversion opportunities there are. Okay, and then you can zone into wherever you are. You click on view, and with Class MA, I always like to get visuals. So let's just drop our man to get the visuals off the road of what they're talking about, and we are talking about this property here. You can see exactly commercial at the bottom. Beautiful opportunity to get your flats, this whole thing converted into flats. We can see the ownership is global property maintenance own it, the full metrics around it, and this falls within permitted development to actually get this converted. You can do the exact same thing by looking at what the prices of flats are. But in this case, if you were doing it as a build to rent function, you'd be able to launch the rental data instead of the sales data. And that is probably even more enhanced when it comes to filtration, simply because you can even dictate whether you want the property to be furnished for that price or not. Okay, so it's as simple as that, and then you can just flick through these opportunities one by one as you like them. You save them into your project, and then you carry on from there, and then you just carry on flicking through them. Okay, title split opportunities. For those of you that were talking about that, I simply go down to the bottom and you just click on your unbroken freeholds. Just in the UK, I've got 652,000 blocks. Okay, this has got preset filters in here. You're welcome to edit this as you go along. So you can say freehold properties, number of leaseholds on the leaseholds on the freehold are 0, number of addresses are greater than 2. Maybe you want a little bit of a bigger block, but not too big. So we'll set the metric to say is between, and we can say 5 and 15. And then we can say that it must have some C3 on there, because remember, if I don't say C3, that may match a multiple addresses of some industrial estate, for example. And then you click on browse, and the system will do exactly that. So if you look at this, these are unbroken altogether here. It's owned by the council. I can still go back in and I can add another filter, and I can say that the ownership type is one of, and we just want private and company owned today. So we get rid of all the councils and so forth. Okay, and maybe housing associations and so forth. Now, if we look at this little house here that is highlighted, it's owned by Mandale Homes. And if I go all the way down, can you see the number of addresses that it's picked up? Number 10, number 5, everything that has been in here. And this is exactly how you pick up unsplit freehold blocks. As you're clicking and you're going to next, it's doing exactly that. Just from the freehold, and I scroll down, I can see there's 6 addresses on this site. And if you go all the way down, you can actually see the EPCs will actually give you the multiple addresses on there. Okay, so this is how you pick up unsplit freehold properties. And then the last one that I wanted to show you on here was going into my custom search, which is my raw canvas. And I'm just going to load up a saved one just to show you the simplicity of the, was it HSBC, if I'm not mistaken? Right, so in this case, we're looking for leasehold now, where the company name contains the word, and then you type in whatever word you want. So I've just typed in HSBC, and we can play around with the dates. We can say is between, and we can say that the lease must have ended by, let's say, the 1st of January last year, and maybe let's say up to 27. So we're casting the net a bit wide. Click on browse, and we've picked up 58 of those HSBCs coming to the end of their lease. Then you'll go through them just like you can see here. Now, HSBC obviously own the lease. If we look at the leasehold, there's 1.5 years left on this actual bank. But HSBC are not the ones that we want to speak to, right? Because they just own the lease. They themselves are probably going to head out. What you want to do is you click on who is the freeholder, click on that, and now we'll extract the ultimate owner of that, and that's Namula's Pension Trust Limited. That's who owns the actual property. Okay. You can see that the leases are listed on here, and that's exactly how we picked it up. Now, if we've got Street View, I'd like to actually give you a little view of what we're talking about. And let's just swing it around. And it's in this property here. There we go. There's our little HSBC, lovely property here. And this is how you are picking up the leases. Now, I've got HSBC in there. You could change that to NatWest, Barclays. You could change that to Wilco. You could change that to Body Shop. You could change it to whatever company you actually want to attack when it comes to just picking up on lease ending only. It's simple. You saw there's only 2 or 3 filters in there. Then we can get specific and say, and not in a conservation area, for example, and we can say within 50 meters of a train station. So you're really getting those prime properties that you are actually sourcing. With us, again, it's not about shooting in the dark. It's been quite specific because we are able to display such accurate data that it makes it all possible for us to do that. Okay. Once you've then saved them into your projects, and we're going to head over into our projects tab. These are where all your projects are now saved in. I always tell people, have as many projects as you want in here. They're unlimited. And we're masters at finding the properties, but then we're just as good as saving them and controlling your pipeline. Okay. So you could have, for example, banks in London, Class MA opportunities in Manchester. You could have blank land in Oxford. You get whatever you want to with your projects. For mine, it's just called Nadir Demo. Inside the actual project, you've got multiple columns that you are now saving your sites into, and you're dragging and you're dropping, and this is how you're controlling your actual Trello board of what you're actually doing. Okay. If you want to buy some title deeds from Land Registry, you don't have to go to Land Registry. You'll notice one thing throughout this demonstration: I will never ever leave the platform. Everything is controlled within the same place. So I'll click on these 3 dots and I'll say buy all of these title deeds from Land Registry. It'll be one click from Land Registry, or purchased and put back into your folders for you. You may have another list to say, you know what, I'm ready to send letters to these guys to say, you know, my name is Chris Tremlett and I'm really after your property and I do this and I do that and whatever you want to tell them. So you're going to click on these 3 dots and you say send letters to everyone in this column. These are all your templates in the platform. Now you could have one, you could have many, simply because your wording may change from a bank owner in London to a blank landowner or a title split in Manchester or something like that. So choose whatever template you want in there. What the system will do is that it will stick the actual template onto that property for you and sort of mold it together. And then you get to choose where that address must go. So for those of you that are looking for HMO data, we have actually got the HMO license list from the councils all imported into the platform. And if you are sending letters, you can send it to the HMO licensee's address, not the actual HMO, because that tenant will just chuck the letter in the bin, right? So, and also with HMOs, you can filter down to say, I'm looking for HMOs in Birmingham where the license is about to expire in the next 6 months. Maximum occupancy is maybe 7, and the license holder's name is Josh. And then we'll find all Josh's HMOs coming up to the end of their license. Okay. And then you can literally send the letter to the correspondence address from their license that they've listed at the actual council, not to the property. If you bought the title deed, you can use the land registry address. If it's company owned, you can send it to the director's address because we're plugged into a company's house, so we can pull that data in for you. For this example, I'm just going to say the address within the plot. Add it to the mail shot. Now the system and the process that I'm following for this example, I think I've got a really small column because I started deleting it the other day. But you literally can do this for thousands in the project. It will be the exact same process. Okay, your letters are all ready now. You're going to click on naming the campaign, and then you're going to click on send now. And the next working day, all of these letters are going to be printed out, stamped, and posted on your behalf. You'll have to pay for the actual print and stamp, and it costs between 75 and 85 pence per letter. If you are at this point and you click on download or print, which is this button here, you don't pay for the stamp or print, but it will actually download in the exact same format and print out on your printer the same way it was going to on ours. And then you can take that stamp and sort of process your letter forward from there. Okay. It's really simple, really effective, and extremely neat and clean. Every single letter, once I open up my letters tab, will be color coded right until it goes to the color code green, which means that it's been delivered. Or if it goes black, we have to highlight to you that it's being returned. Something has gone wrong. Very seldom, but we will tell you if something has gone wrong. Okay. So that's basically, we've gone from identifying properties, saving them, doing an appraisal on them of what the GDVs are going to look like, what the planning data looks like around us, and then gone to then saving them, and then obviously banking in to our projects, issuing letters and making contact with landowners. Estate agents and everyone are following the exact same process, and then they go to market once they get responses, and they get the bidding wars running with everybody running after them. Okay. I'm going to come out of here and show you a little bit more about what the capabilities are in the platform. We've got our company ownership tool. So from previously, you could have an SPV, which had a holding company, and very difficult to understand who owns what. No longer. We can now build an ownership tree saying that company A owns company B, C, and D, which then owns 3 properties in each, and you can search it by director's address, date of birth, name, whatever you want. We will just build the whole tree for you and tell you exactly who owns what. Okay. We've got our new land values team. We are the only platform based on vacant land. If it has been an allocation on that site, previous planning permission, or traded within the last few years, we have actually bought the latest traded price of that land, and we'll give you the average price per hectare, because when you're talking off market on land, very difficult to assume where that pricing is going to go. We have pre-bought thousands of property land sales figures in order to guide you as to what is the price per acre or hectare within that area that has not been planning on there. Okay. If I drop down my strategic land tools, we've got tons of tools in here. If I open up my housing delivery test, this is a national map telling you which area is passing the test, which ones are failing. An opportunity area that you would want to explore is all the ones that are not doing too well. For example, up north, we've got Sheffield at 68%, complete fail. Peak District, failing, but not so badly. And then if you come down to the Midlands, we've got Bromsgrove, which is doing terribly, and so forth. So is Dudley and Sandwell too. Down south, you've obviously got a lot more to play with within this area. Now, sometimes I get the question of what area do I actually focus on, right? So yes, I agree that's asking how long is a piece of string, but using the data and manipulating the data in the right way can tell you a lot of stories here. Okay. Let's take, for example, Uttersford. Yeah, we've got the LPA. They're at 46%. They're failing. Okay. Now, could that mean that that's an opportunity area? Yes, absolutely. Why are they failing? We need to wonder. Are they failing because there's not enough development in the area? And that would mean that the council's actually craving a planning application to work with because they're failing so miserably, so they need to get more housing built. Or could it mean that the council are actually the problem, right? And there's no other way in order to tell what the difference is here. So watch how I take the data sets and actually understand where the actual opportunities are. So I'm going to close down the housing delivery test. I'm going to go back into my planning app, open up the planning app. That's just going to grab every single planning application, drop your search area down here and say, just show me the Uttersford planning authorities, the Uttersford planning authority. Where are you? Oh, just going to another one. I hope I'm not having internet issues halfway during the demo. Yeah. So anyway, you go into any council. We'll talk just about that council. And the main thing that you want to understand is we want to put no filters in there to begin with. And instead of looking at every single planning application, I want to look at my graph view. And with my graph view, I'm going to understand how many applications have they received in the last 5 years, how many approvals have they got, and whether they're the problem or there is just not enough builders in the area. Now, if this was that council that was failing and they've got an 81% approval rate, I think that means there's not enough developers in that area. If this was a 30% approval rate, then you'd have a slight issue because that means that there may be builders there, but they're not approving it, and that's no wonder they're failing the housing crisis. Using just 2 data sets, I can already map out where I need to be in the UK. Okay, so incredible amount of information that can come through. We'll close that down and just go touch a little bit more about this. We've obviously got all the settlement boundaries. We'll highlight them all for you within the platform. SIL rates is your community infrastructure levy. That's an interactive map that if you just turn that on, you can literally go onto any area around you, click on the map, and we'll tell you exactly what the rate is that you need to pay. Anything that's not colored in is SIL free, doesn't apply there. Okay, brownfield registers and the usuals all included into the platform. But what I really want to just touch on a little bit is the actual local plan. Now you'll see my screen's gone completely black because we can only talk about one regulation at a time, which is one local plan. The local plans, for those of you that have had the pleasure of reading them, they are 400-500 pages long. They can drive you up the wall, especially when you know you're looking for basic data. So what you want to do is open up that plan, click on AI, and with us, we give you the opportunity to talk to the plan and extract the actual data out. So you could just type out a question or use whatever you want here, whether it's the adopted or the emerging. You then just type it out. And I've just asked, what's the affordable housing policy in that area? You do not have to scroll through those hundreds of pages. Give it about 5 seconds. It will read the entire document for you. And voila, all the actual answer comes out. Okay, you can check the adopted or the emerging plan in that sense. If I close that down and get out of my strategic land tools, we've obviously got tons more. Every single planning constraint, you can launch them manually in the app. You can leave them on in the background. We've got all the conservation areas, Article 4s, and so forth. Now, for those interested within the HMO space, this is of ultimate sort of interest to you guys because you like to launch the Article 4, which is a very important data set. You then can go all the way down where you find your HMO layer and layer that on as well. This will now show you all the HMOs in and out of the Article 4. You can then put on the rental data on here. You can see where the opportunity areas are, where the blank spots are. You can put it on the healthcare facilities app, so we'll identify where all the hospitals are, just so that you actually understand where you're going within this platform to identify from there. You can then save them into the platform, and within the sourcing tab, just like how I looked for land and I looked for commercial, you could say, only show me where the property has an HMO license on there, coming up for expiry and so forth, and we'll just show you that. Okay, so multiple layers of data all displayed within one page. And the last thing that I do want to show you guys, which I recently have found, started playing around with it a lot more because it's tend to become my favorite now, is our actual heat map around the country. Okay, what does this mean? This means, and this indicative app basically has broken down every single sales price from land registry, updated daily on a price per square foot in a postcode. Okay, now you can see as I'm heading towards London, it's getting hotter and hotter to our dark reds there. If you go a little bit further up into, maybe the MK44 postcode, you can see it's £328 a square foot. Now, does that mean that every single house in that postcode sells for £328? No. Like we all know, every area has got high and it's got low. This is the average. So if we zoom in close enough, just like that, it'll break it down into actual accurate chunks to say that's the higher part, but that's the lower part, these colors here. So you'd want to move between your darker yellows to your orange, which leads to your red. That will give you an indication of an opportunity for growth area when it comes to pricing. That's exactly where you want to be. Okay, so it's amazing where you can do that. You can filter this data down by 1 year or 5 year. You can say whether you want the actual sales price or the HPI adjusted in the index price. And we used to be proud once we've put this in, and somebody came back and said, but that would mean that it's a higher price per square foot because there's all detached houses around that area, but I'm buying a flat, so I'm not going to pay that price. And we realized that, and within 2 days, the entire system was updated. Now you can actually dictate the actual property type. So are we talking detached? Are we even just talking new build? What's the new build talking about here? To that level of detail, to sort of identify your areas. So yeah, guys, I hope you found that informative. I try to keep it as clean and neat as possible. You can see the power of the platform and the extent to where this can really go. So yeah, I think we can now take on any questions and any comments from Chris regarding the demo.
Yeah, wow, Nadir, I can't get my head around that. There's so many data sets, but it's so nicely laid out. It's literally Trello, Tinder, MI6, all rolled into one in one platform. And I love the idea, particularly with the HMOs, of being able to map out where the hospitals are and then work out where the Article 4 areas are and the density of HMOs all in the same bit. And then put that on top, you've also got the HMO registry, which, if anyone's tried, is an absolute nightmare to try and get hold of the HMO officer to get a copy of that. Whereas it's already in the platform. So it's, yeah.
We've got ahead, Chris.
I know. And I love the idea as well. I will shut up in a minute, but I'm proper fangirl in the platform because, as you know, I've worked for competitors and I've probably not seen this level of detail. But I love the fact that when you send out the letters, if it doesn't reach where it's supposed to, it lets you know. And I don't.
Yeah, we have to show. Unfortunately, I'd love to say they all reach there, but we have to be realistic. So if something gets returned, we have to tell you that.
Well, that's great, isn't it? Because how many letters do people send out, direct to vendor letters, and they have no idea what happens to them?
Yeah.
So if you're doing it yourself and you're putting 100 letters together and you send that out every month, and you don't know actually how many people that they're reaching their end goal.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm going to ask you this, Nadir, and it's no secret my background, but how would you sort of compare Searchland to your competitors? I mean, what are the sort of the main differences?
Yeah, absolutely, and very good question. So we'd like to always sort of separate ourselves from the rest based on the accuracy of the data. Right now, 60% of our new business every month comes from people using competitor software. They don't join Searchland because they love the color of our logo, right? They are coming because of the accuracy of the data, the way in which it's displayed. Not only that, but the amount of data that can be displayed. I know of many platforms out there that can only take 4 layers at one time. I think my record is to take 22 layers at one time. Okay, I couldn't understand what was going on my screen then, but the system would just wanted to load even more and more without glitching, without stopping. It's just smooth and it runs. So people are now awake when it comes to what they can access, and it's not we don't live in a world of we will just deal with what's available, but rather we want it and we need it, and that's what Searchland does.
Amazing. Anil's asked a question. Does Searchland include commercial properties?
Yes. So from the residential side of things, we've obviously from your comparables we brought in Rightmove for your comparables. From the commercial side of things, we've partnered with EG Group, so we've got all their data pulled into the platform. However, that is more from a comparable and on the market. You can click on any commercial property, and that will highlight for you as well.
Great. And I think a lot of questions a lot of people will be considering with the data. There is a lot of data that goes into this platform.
Yeah.
There's so many touch points.
Yeah.
How do you keep on top of it all? How often is the data updated?
Trust me, when I walk into the head office and I look at the data team, half of them look knackered. But that's simply because we've got 16,000 data points coming in. Okay, each one is treated individually. So, for example, land registry will only give us an update to the public every 21 days. We could refresh the system every 4 minutes. It would make absolutely no difference, right?
Yeah.
So we will do just that. Planning data is different. We're updating that every 12 hours with a soft scrape and an official scrape every 24 hours. So each one is treated individual and differently. However, we are known for the most up-to-date data on the market.
Fantastic. And I think Gabir's put a question in the chat. Bit of a case study one, this one.
Yeah.
So we'll have a look into it. Thanks for the great demo. My house and a very large garden are on 3 separate leases, 1 freehold and 2 leasehold. I want to buy the 2 leaseholds, but I've been able to locate the owners of the 2 leaseholds. I recently came across the process of adverse possession. Can Searchland help with purchasing these 2 leases using adverse possession?
That is a very simple use case. So what I would say is I'm going to be popping my details on shortly. Get in touch with myself or Ashley. we literally need to just click on your property and we'll know exactly who the freeholder is, and we can just pop a letter within 4 clicks on here to say that he should give you a call. So yeah, that's a 3-minute solution. And very possible through Searchland. So when I pop my details through, then just give us an email and we'll try and help you out.
Yeah, and it was Gabir that put the question in. Gabir, Nadir and Ashley are both in UK Homes Network. So if you want to reach out to them or send them a message through the platform at any time, you can. And they'll also be posting regular updates regarding Searchland. If you're not a member of UK Homes Network, all you have to do is just download the app UK Homes Network from your app store. It takes a couple of seconds to create a profile. And Nadir, you're one of the first faces that you'll see when you come into the platform. So yeah.
I hope I'm not scaring people away.
No, not at all. I've noticed a slight increase in our membership, so it's probably
there we go.
So yeah, and Graham's put he's missed the start of the video, but or the start of the webinar. But yes, normally, Graham, what we do is with our webinars with industry experts, we put them behind a paywall. But because Searchland is so generous and obviously the partnership we have with them, we are going to make this available to everyone in UK Homes Network. So if you want to go back and watch the start of this, you can do for free in the video tabs of UK Homes Network.
Chris, can I just jump on one of the questions here where I saw, how do I value off market? That's obviously freehold blocks for title splitting. Please, if you find it on the market or whatever the case may be, you never take the split value as the valuation. You're shooting yourself in the foot. You need to take the unsplit value, which is always cannot be less than, at least I would say, 30% of what the split value is, because and a lot of agents that have things on the market will advertise it at the split value. You're going slowly nowhere with that.
Right. And then I think that's all the questions we've had. So there was a question around the discount, because obviously Searchland are amazing. They've given us UK Homes Network an incredible discount. Could you give the guys a little bit of an insight into that discount? And also just to stress that if they want this discount, they can only come to you, Nadir and Ashley, regarding this discount. Like literally, if you phone up Searchland, they won't have a clue who you are or what this discount is about. They need to come directly to you, don't they?
Yes. So first things before I even explain it, you'll see a link in the chat, and that is the link that you're going to be clicking on in order to put your details, which the system automatically allocates you a voucher as part of UK Homes Network. Okay, so now let's explain what it does. So just as Chris said, if you do go to Searchland tomorrow and you say, I'm part of UK Home, no, we deal with the wholesale team and partnerships. That's why you're having access to this. That's why it's closed off just to you guys. It's not on any public forum. So you get 40% discount on the professional package. The professional package includes everything that you saw me doing today. That will drop your price down into 2 for options. Firstly, it's a minimum of 12-month contract. Your discounted price right to the bottom would be, if you paid upfront for the year, would be £2,880 plus VAT, or £312 a month plus VAT. Now, I always like to tell people, over the entire year that you're signed up to us, just have one fruitful conversation. Just one. Ignore the number of conversations you're going to have with your letters and all. Just one. The one conversation that you have will pay for this platform for the next 5 to 10 years. And that's the pricing that it drops down. You have to just go directly through us. Do not go through head office. You will pay full retail price. There's a team waiting to invoice you at full retail on that side. I would suggest you stay away from that area at all costs. Also, before I do anything else, Chris, how do I put an attachment into the chat? Does that even work? Or I'll tell you what I can do. I'll do one better. Is I will just reshare my screen and I will go and open up the actual details page, so that if anyone, they'll probably see it on this this chat, as well as they will be able to take a picture or whatever they want. So let's do that. And can you see my my details come up now.
Yeah, there we go.
There we go. So that's nice and simple. Take a picture, give us a call, send us an email. And even if you don't want to fill in your details, just tell us where you got, remind us where you're from, and we'll just allocate the voucher manually for you. So yeah. Any other questions, Chris?
Just having a look to see if we've got any more coming in. One of the questions I had actually was around the customization of the letters.
Mm-hmm.
Can you basically customize all the letters? Like, can you, so for example, if I want to send out UK Homes Network letters to whoever it might be, can I do that?
Yeah. So obviously customization can mean anything, right? So on your letter, you've obviously put your own logo, your own wording, everything's about you on there. Searchland are nowhere to be seen. The property owner doesn't even know how on earth you even found who they were. So we don't stamp mark or brand mark or nothing on there. We will send it out, however, in a white normal envelope. Now I do get questions where, can you send it in a pink envelope? And you trust me, I've been asked whether we can put perfume on there, and I'm like, we can do none of that. We can do it just like that, but feel free to follow my prompts when I show you to download it and spray whatever you want. I would suggest Joe Malone does smell really nice if you want to go that far. And you can put it in a pink envelope for all you want, and take it from there. So yes, your actual printout will be unique to you. We do not put who we are, so nobody knows you used us. And then furthermore, we'll just do it in white, but you can take it to the next level and really customize it. But that portion of it, you'll have to do on your own.
Brilliant. I think my partner Emily would be fuming if I bought a bottle of Joe Malone to spray on letters and not so
go for Creed then.
Yeah, you've got expensive taste, mate.
Oh, I get gifted these things predominantly by Ash. So
brilliant. He's got all embarrassed.
It's not as often as he's saying, I promise.
Great stuff. Right, guys, I think that's it for this evening. I just want to say a massive thank you. It's been eye-opening, to say the least. I've always been on the other side looking in and wondered how the platform operates and why it is you have so many customers, and why in my previous role we weren't able to keep up with you guys. So it's been incredible to see the amount of data sets and everything that's available within the platform. I really hope that everyone on this call will take full advantage of the 40% discount. I mean, that's just mental. And we're so grateful that Searchland would give that to our members. So please, guys, do make the most of it. If you want to reach out to Nadir or Ashley, you can do via their contact details, but they are also very active in UK Homes Network. Ashley checks it at least 4 times a day. I've seen him keep coming online. So if you do want to send them a message, they'd be more than happy to help with any queries that you might have. So please do. Gentlemen, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us, Chris.
I hope you've had
Enjoy
fun.
your evening further. Take care, guys.
Great stuff. Take care.
Bye.